Last week at Columbia University, some students were protesting. They were protesting the human atrocity that is happening in Gaza. They were calling for ceasefires. They were saying that the government of Israel was doing the wrong thing, even after Hamas had done the wrong thing, and that things needed to be better. And the administration of Columbia University could have said, wow, look at all of these students voicing their opinion. And look at all of these other students who might not like that opinion, but are good, solid adults who can hear opinions they don't like. Look at this opportunity for debate about a major international issue. Look at this opportunity for good discussion and conversation and understanding each other. But instead, the administration at Columbia called the police and had a bunch of those students arrested for trespassing. And because you can't trespass on the grounds of a university that you go to, they are in the process of kicking a bunch of those protesters out of school because they took a stand for something. Some of the students who they arrested, some of the students who they are working on having kicked out are Jewish. Because there are Jewish students who look at what is happening and go, that is wrong. That is not what being Jewish is to me. And I'm telling you this because one of them got quoted in a paper of record and said this amazing thing. She said that she was inspired to join the protest because Passover is coming up. And we talked about Passover around the time of Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. Passover is that holiday when Jewish people remember that they were slaves in Egypt and that God raised up a hero to lead them out of slavery in Egypt. And this student said, if Judaism is about anything, it has to be about liberation for everyone. And if Jewish people are going to say never again, we have to mean never again for anyone. We aren't Jewish, we are Christian. We have our roots in that religion, but we step a bit to the side and go on with a different story. But I am increasingly convinced that while there are a lot of different ways that you can divide up religions and politics and ideologies in general, one of the most powerful, the fault line that runs through just about everything, is the division between the inclusive and the exclusive, between the universal and the tribal. And I know that there is always that temptation to be exclusive, to be tribal, to think that it is us against them, and that we are favored. And so when we say what we are about liberation for us. And if you want to become one of us, you too can be liberated. And that when we say never again, it means never again for us. And if it happens to you, well, that's a you problem. I know that there are Christians. There are pastors standing in a sanctuary right now, preaching exclusivity and tribalism. And I know that there are people, Christian and non-Christian, folks who are just at home on a Sunday morning who believe that Christianity is about exclusivity and tribalism. I know that there are folks sitting at home this morning, not in church because they don't want to go to a place that is about exclusivity and tribalism. But that's not us, right? And in our reading today, we hear Jesus tell us that that's not us. You see, because Jesus does not say, love your family. Even though I'm pretty sure Jesus wants us to love our family. And Jesus does not say, love your friends. Even though I'm pretty sure Jesus would like us to love our friends. And Jesus does not say in this moment, love your neighbor, even though I know Jesus wants us to love our neighbor. And Jesus does not say in this moment, love the stranger who you don't know who they are or what they're up to or what they want, even though I know that Jesus wants us to love strangers who we don't know who they are or what they're up to or what they want. I am sure that Jesus wants us to love our family and friends and neighbors and strangers. But in this moment, Jesus says, love your enemy. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who mistreat you. Pray for those who abuse you. And Jesus isn't talking in the abstract. Jesus is living among Jewish people in an occupied country. Rome is right there, breathing down their necks, stepping on their necks, hurting people. Soldiers will tell someone to do something, and if they don't, they'll strike them on the face, slap them across the cheek. Soldiers will come and say, give me your coat, and just take what they want. Soldiers will come and say, take my stuff and walk with me, carry it for me, and just make demands. Enemies here are not an abstraction. Enemies are a reality. People who curse us are a reality. People who hurt us are a reality. People who abuse us are a reality to Jesus and his followers. And yet Jesus is saying, love them. Bless them. Do good for them. Pray for them. There's a temptation. There's a temptation to reshape love a little bit in this case. There are those who will say that if you slap someone on the face, you slap people who are lower than you with the back of your hand, and people who are your equals with the front of your hand, the palm of your hand. That this was the custom at the time, and so turning the other cheek, doing that little trick, was a way of saying, you hit me with the back of your hand, but now you are forced to hit me with the palm of your hand. You were treating me as someone lower than you, now you have to treat me as an equal. There are those who will say that while the law allowed a soldier to demand a coat, the soldier couldn't demand anymore, and so if you took off your coat and took off your shirt, you were pushing that soldier past where they were allowed to go. And there are those who will say that a soldier was allowed to come up to somebody and demand that they carry their stuff for a mile, but not any further. So if you went with them too, you were kind of tricking them into breaking the law. And maybe that's true. There is a place for that kind of civil disobedience. That kind of exposing the violence inherent in the system, but I'm not sure that's what Jesus was going for here. I think Jesus might have been serious. I think Jesus might not have been trying to find a trick, to find the one cool way to mess up your enemies. I think Jesus might have been saying, really, truly, honestly saying, love your enemy. Love your enemy. Look at that person who is hurting you as a person, as the precious child of the God who is love, as a bearer of God's image, of someone who's as someone who's just as messed up and desperate as you are. See them that way. Treat them that way. Love them just like God has loved you. Because, let's face it, none of us are perfect. If we are talking about oppressed and oppressor, we here in this room are statistically more likely to be on the oppressor side of that equation. We are more likely to be in a position that is not great for other people. And we didn't do it on purpose. We didn't plan on ending up here. It's an accident of history and birth, but it's still true. And even while we were there, even while we are here, the God who is love responds to us with love. The God who is love looks at us with compassion. The God who is love treats us with kindness. The God who is love sets aside glory and comes into the world as one of us. And even after we do what we do, even after we nail him to a cross, even after we lay him in a tomb, he gets up and keeps loving us. And if God has done that for us, even for me, what can I do but respond by sharing that with others? Not by trying to find one weird trick, not even by trying to confuse them, but by loving them, by caring for them, by seeing them as every bit as much as the broken, messed up person that I am, and giving them the love that God has given me. Now, I need to be careful here. I need to walk a line. I am not suggesting ending up in an abusive relationship. I'm not saying go out and find someone to curse you. Go out and find someone to mistreat you. You can love someone safely. You can bless someone safely. You can do good for someone from a good distance. You can pray for someone no matter where you are. But I am saying that in the end, when it really matters, we are called to love even our enemies. We are called to love even those who would hurt us. We are called to love everyone. And in so doing, to share the love of God with everyone. To fill the world with God's reign of love. To fill in the cracks with love. Until everything is made new. And it is by loving that we will discover the love in ourselves and the love all around us. It is in loving that we will reclaim our broken humanity and be brought to new life. And that is something to celebrate. Alleluia. Amen.